morning. If I call you Sergeant, Coronado, it's only because I've been looking for weeks and weeks
I
and weeks
understand, yes,
at
sir.
reports. But do you prefer Mr. Coronado, or does it matter if I do either one?
It doesn't matter,
Okay.
sir.
We saw each other yesterday in court, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so you know that I'm one of the lawyers representing Adrian.
Yes, sir.
And have you ever testified before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In criminal cases?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you understand cross-examination?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to ask you questions, and I want to tell you ahead of time. I'm going to ask you specific questions.
Okay.
And I'm going to push back on you, okay? A little bit?
Yes, sir.
A lot of it, I'm sorry. And I'm not questioning your character. I want to make sure you understand that. But I am going to question your decisions and your perception.
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay. But if I get out of line, just say, Nico, you're out of line, or something like that, or repeat a question.
I definitely
talk
will.
fast sometimes, and so I'll repeat that, okay?
I will. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So when we talk about jurisdiction, a Texas peace officer has jurisdiction everywhere in Texas,
Yes, sir.
right? I mean, so you have duties. County sheriffs will deal with the county. City municipalities will deal with the city inside of a county, correct?
Correct.
School officers primarily are assigned to schools, but if they see something or vice versa, you're a Texas peace officer.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So the whole discussion about that just has to do with your job description, not your authority under Texas law.
I'm not going to conduct a traffic stop outside of my jurisdiction, if that makes sense.
Yes, sir, I understand that.
My-
But you as a Texas peace officer can make arrests and you can respond to crimes.
Yes.
Yes, that's all I'm trying to do.
Okay.
Okay, so the government also asked you about body-worn camera. We saw dashboard. We're going to talk about both of those.
Dash cam.
And when we say dash cam, that dash camera. So we say dash cam as a slang to say dash camera, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And dash means dashboard.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so body-worn cameras, as you know, can be helpful,
Yes, sir.
but they also can be taken out of context.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that a fair statement? Because when someone's wearing a body-worn camera, it's kind of like maybe a body-worn camera, and a lot of people wear it on their sternums. When they first came out, some people kind of wore them up on their lapels.
Yes, sir.
And it was kind of weird. But so people wear them on their sternums because it's center mass, right?
Yes, sir.
And so if I turn my torso, I'm going to hopefully get what I'm turning my torso to, correct?
Yes, sir.
But if my torso is facing the audience and I do this camera's not going to pick it up.
That's correct.
And so that's why I'm saying context can be taken out when you solely depend on body-worn cameras, but they're helpful.
Yes, sir.
And so you were at your office on the day of incident.
Yes, sir.
And you were performing your duties as a sergeant, and you were approving reports.
Correct.
And so when you mean approving reports, you were just, what do you mean by approving reports?
What I mean is I read over the narratives. There's certain things that I'm looking for in the reports. They, especially offense reports. I'm making sure that all the reports that had been assigned for that day are completed. An officer responds to a call for service and generates a report, and those reports have to be done in a timely manner. So I'm looking to make sure that all those calls for service, there's a report attached to it. In the offense reports, I'm looking to make sure that the offense fits the narrative. I'm looking at elements of the crime and making sure that the officers are including all the elements, and it's a clear, concise report. If there's things that are missing or things that need to be amended or reports, I bring it to their attention, and then either they're explaining to me what's going on or they'll fix the report.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, it does. I
Okay.
understand that process. And so you were also, but thank you for explaining it.
Mhm.
And you were also asked by the government about, did you have any family members at Robb Elementary?
Yes, sir.
But then you went through an explanation, and the jury's heard that Uvalde was such, I'm going to say is still, such a nice, small-knit community.
A close-knit community.
Close-knit community.
Yes, sir.
So, especially in the Hispanic community, someone may not be your biological or familiar uncle, but you'll call people tío and tía for your aunt, even though, I mean, I'm half Hispanic, so I mean, I get it. But it's that kind of closeness there, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Someone can be called primo, cousin, but they're not really your biological cousin, but you just feel that family environment, in general.
In general, yeah, you can be referring to that if that's what you're asking me.
That's what I'm referring to.
Okay.
Okay, so when you were there working at your office, you got a radio call for a 1050,
Yes, sir.
and it wasn't directly to you, correct?
No, sir.
It was, but that means 1050 means accident.
Correct.
Okay, and then at some point after that, and I don't know if it was clear, but at some point after that, dispatch reported shots fired.
I believe there was mention of somebody with a gun at first, and then it was shots fired.
Okay, and so an accident with someone with a gun doesn't tell you a whole bunch, because
No, sir.
in Texas, you're allowed to carry guns, as long as you're not a convicted felon, as long as you're not a gang member, or as long as you're not committing a crime other than a Class C misdemeanor, right?
Yes, sir.
Then people can carry a weapon. And so that alone is not concerning. The gun itself, or is it?
If someone carrying a gun, is that what you're asking me?
Yes,
If it's a
sir.
concern?
Yes,
No,
sir.
I mean, we do have, but in the context of the call coming out, well, yes, it's gonna grab your attention. There's a reason why dispatch is relaying that information. Obviously, someone saw a gun and we're talking about an accident, so does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That's not, we're gonna go there. And so,
Okay.
yes, and so there was something concerning about that report. It wasn't just mentioned just for the heck of it, right?
Correct.
And so you know that through your experience.
Yes, sir.
And then shortly after that, your concerns were verified because they said shots fired.
Yes, sir.
And so you testified that you jumped out of your desk rightfully, and then you went to your vehicle, but on the way, you called out to two other officers in the office with you.
The other officers are, I don't know if, I made a general broadcast out loud, shots are being fired as I'm running to my vehicle. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. And with those two officers, was that Officer Saucedo and Officer Mendoza?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
Okay, and so those are the two officers that ended up leading you, not leading you, but they were ahead of you.
Yes, sir.
And were on that corner on that dash cam. Okay, so I'm just gonna need context to make sure we understand. So it was Officer Saucedo and Officer Mendoza, and just for clarity, there's two Officer Mendozas, right?
Yes, sir.
There's Officer Jesus Mendoza,
Correct.
and then there's Justin Mendoza.
Correct.
And so this one is Jesus.
Correct.
Okay, so Officer Jesus Mendoza and Officer Saucedo happened to be, not because you wanted it that way per se, but they happened to be ahead of you and they drove to the scene.
Yes, sir.
You also said there were other detectives in the office. How many detectives were there?
I knew there was detectives in there. I don't know exactly who was there. I wasn't concerned with that. I was just broadcasting. I knew that there was detectives present. I want to say I visually saw maybe Detective Landry, Sergeant Page, and maybe Lieutenant Martinez,
Okay, just in general.
just in general.
Now, at some point after, did you, because you heard some of the dispatch, are you aware of the dispatch communication between Gilbert Limones and the 911 dispatcher? It's part of the same group of conversations, but earlier on that we just heard.
Can you tell me who Gilbert Limones is?
I will. He is one of the people that works at the funeral home at the corner where that wreck was.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you have opportunities to review that dispatch communication? The 911, thank you, Bill. The 911.
We did go over some 911 calls, I believe.
And when I say 911 and dispatch, in a smaller community, a 911 call comes in, and the jury heard testimony yesterday that, I mean, it's kind of in one room, right?
Yes, it
I mean,
is.
so, and it's, maybe it's been updated, but you'll get someone answering a phone call and then dispatching, so the jury's heard on certain dispatch, you hear 911 in the background.
That's
and
correct.
on certain 911, you hear dispatch in the background.
Yes, that's
Right?
correct.
And so that's why it's confusing to me sometimes, but that's why I'm making them interchangeably.
Yes, sir.
So in Uvalde Dispatch Center, for that community, that was the circumstance. It's a phone call and it's dispatching, but it's literally, you're on the same frequency almost. Not frequency, but you have a call here and you're dispatching here.
So basically, can I?
Yep, you can explain that, sure.
So yeah, a dispatcher is going to be performing their duties dispatching, but they're also receiving 911 calls and landline local calls, and they're dispatching officers from either these landlines or 911 calls that are coming in.
And that's all I mean, it's just, it's a similar, it's the same people doing all those duties.
Generally, there's 1 to 2 dispatchers on duty at that time.
And so by the time that you heard of the 1050, later on you found out that 11, and so times are gonna be important here, so I'm gonna go old school and write some stuff on this pad, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. So at 11:29:05, you didn't know his name at the time, but you know that there's an individual named Gilbert Limones that worked at that funeral home, correct? At some point you found out.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so the issue we're having, and I know you're trying to testify properly, and thank you, but there's been a little leeway because a lot of people, almost everyone that has testified, has found things out later. So as long as we distinguish what you knew at the time versus what you found out later, then we're good, okay?
Yes, sir. Just to be clear, we didn't conduct the investigation, so it's difficult. We don't.
I understand that.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you're a witness. You're not the one conducting the investigation.
Right.
Early on, you're doing an investigation, so we're going to talk about your investigation to incidents, but about this trial, you didn't do the investigation.
Correct.
Yes, sir. I'll make that distinction. So at 11:29:05, a worker from the funeral home, Gilbert Limones, calls 911 to talk about a crash, which is with the 1050.
Yes, sir.
But then in the middle of that 911 call, it goes from a crash to a discharging of a weapon, shots
Correct.
fired.
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna put 911, I'll put Limones, okay?
Okay.
I'm not gonna write all the stuff that goes on there, but if you've reviewed that, you would know, and it's in evidence, you would know that he describes the shooting, he describes to the dispatcher the importance and the severity of the situation, he pleads with her to please get people to hurry up, he actually gives a description of the person shooting, he's wearing black and he's running towards the school. You later found that out, right?
Yes.
Because you have to rely on the information sent to you, officers do.
Correct.
Right? So you can't control what dispatch tells you, right?
Right.
You don't know what they're being told and reported, but you have to respond, you're trained to respond to what's being told to you.
I don't have access, I'm not hearing the 911 calls that comes in. I'm getting dispatch and I'm hearing dispatch advise me of what's going on.
And so when you talk about he's at this same call, so I'm not gonna write it all down because I need space, but at this 9:29:05, Mr. Limones gives a lot of information to dispatch, right? But I'm gonna tell you, but unfortunately it didn't get to you,
Right.
right? Because not only does he say he's wearing black, he's running towards the school, right? So he's saying all these things. He actually said he's shooting at the school at 11:29:05, right? Are you with me on that?
I am.
Okay.
At that,
But I'm not, this is not your fault. You didn't get that information.
correct.
You didn't get that information. Officer Saucedo didn't get that information, right? Officer Mendoza did not get that information, right?
Not to my knowledge. I don't know.
Well, they don't have secret channels, do they?
No, it's broadcast on one channel. Yes, sir.
And I wasn't being sarcastic. I'm asking.
No,
legitimately.
I understand your
And
question.
so Adrian Gonzales, if they're on the same channel, didn't get that information either, right?
If you're asking if let me understand you correctly.
Please.
You're asking me if that information was passed on. I never received that information. I don't know whether it was broadcast and I didn't hear it, or I don't know if it wasn't broadcast at all. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. And that's a great answer. But if it wasn't broadcast at all, that would have been critical information for all of the officers to know.
Yes, sir, it would have.
Because now you're not just going to a 1050. You're going to something else.
Correct.
You're going to a person in black, and you know that early on, if it was broadcasted to you guys. You know he's running towards the school, not walking around the school, correct? and you would have specifically known that he's shooting at the school and that there's someone saying, hurry, hurry, please, correct?
Yes, sir.
And again, you, and to your knowledge, none of the other officers had that information.
Not to my knowledge, no, sir.
Are you, and we're gonna get there in a second, but are you aware that the shooter entered the school at 11:32:58? Are you aware now?
I know.
Thank you.
Okay.
So the government has stipulated, I mean, they agree that the shooter entered the school at 11:32:58, right? That is after, almost 3-4 minutes after this, right?
Yes, sir.
And in these critical situations, time is of the essence, the government has asked, and we agree with that. Time is of the essence, right? And that's a considerable amount of time in a situation like this. If somebody is shooting, walking towards a school?
Yes.
Okay. And you and Officer Mendoza and Officer Saucedo would have gone to that corner differently if you had been given this information instead of just a 10:50 person with a gun, shots fired.
Correct, yes, sir.
And so you arrive, and then Officer Mendoza and Officer Saucedo are already there.
Yes, sir.
Now, I will represent to you, and the government can correct me, that at 11:32:23 is when Officer Mendoza shows up to the scene, to that corner. You okay with that, Bill?
Sure. We'll stipulate to that, Your Honor.
I'm just gonna put Mendoza.
Okay.
Remember, the shooter entered the building at 11:32:58, right? At 11:32:23, he's there. At 11:32:29, Saucedo arrives. And then you arrive shortly after that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Specifically, you arrive at 11:32:32.
Okay.
Okay? Now, when you arrive to kind of a chaotic scene, right?
Yes, sir.
We saw the video. We're going to play the video again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, thank you. Hold on one second. So, who is this over here?
Officer Salcedo.
Okay. Now, we can see, because the government didn't ask you this, but I want to ask you, what weapon does he have in his hand?
An AR.
What is an AR?
That's a .223 caliber rifle.
AR-15, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so that is what we can see, the barrel above him, correct?
Can you put it a little further so I can?
Can you play a little bit further so we can see it? But you knew he had an AR.
Yes.
There it is,
Mhm.
right? We see
Yes,
it.
sir.
Thank you for stopping. And so then we have, and is this you here, Sergeant?
That is me.
Okay, and this is Officer Mendoza.
Officer Mendoza, yes, sir.
Now, you said a lot of things during this portion of the testimony. You drive up and you're kind of walking, it's almost as if, and I'm not being condescending or disrespectful, if people start running, most people might just start running because they're running, right?
Right.
So you walk up and you drive up and you see officers acting as if they're being shot at.
Correct.
So that makes sense that you're gonna act like they're being shot at.
Well, not only that, but I heard rounds going on.
That's important. So you heard rounds. Now, you know that shooting a gun can create an echoing effect,
Yes, sir.
right? Especially against a building with a high-powered rifle, it can create this echoing effect, and it'll be hard to tell where a shot's coming from, right? Is that
Yes,
true?
sir.
Okay. And so it takes you some time to orient
Yes, sir.
and to observe what's going on. And you testified to this jury that at some point you said, well, I'm not seeing evidence that we're being shot at,
Yes, sir.
right? And evidence I think you talked about were bouncing, rounds bouncing,
Correct.
windows being shot out,
Yes, sir.
the vehicle taking fire.
Yes, sir.
Now, you know that a vehicle is not cover.
Correct.
It's mainly concealment.
Yes, sir.
And the juries heard plenty about that. But I mean, but cover would be like the engine block and maybe some of the area around the wheel,
Yes, sir.
the frame. And but Mendoza and Salcedo, and I'm not saying they didn't truly believe this, it's stressful, right?
Yes.
Would you agree that these shots, they sound very, very loud?
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't tell how close they were?
No, sir.
But at some point, Officer Salcedo, and you're getting it from both angles. So you're hearing shots.
Yes, sir.
You're seeing officers that you supervise acting as if they're being shot at. You think you're being shot at for a
Correct.
period of time. You're hearing from the funeral people behind you, which
Yes.
Mr. Limones is one of them.
Okay.
And then Officer Salcedo has a different view. He's looking around that side of his vehicle and he's looking at this side, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so he tells you, I think I see him,
Yes.
right? And he wants to take a shot.
Correct.
And in all of your training, there's not one officer, law enforcement officer, that if they believe that chapter 931 or 933 of the Penal Code is appropriate, meaning the use of deadly force to defend yourself or defend a third person, that you don't have to ask for permission.
Correct.
You want to make sure that you're factually justified, but you don't have to ask for permission from a supervisor.
Correct.
And so that was odd for you, right?
Yes.
Because you don't even know what he's talking about.
Correct.
I mean, you know there's someone shooting a weapon, they believe it's at them, and he sees somebody, and he's asking permission to shoot.
Yes, sir.
You know now that he saw that person go into the building.
I don't know who he saw or what he saw. I know he asked permission to fire.
Do you know now, though, that the shooter entered the west side of the school?
Yes, from what I was told, yes.
And it's okay, you can talk about that, what you were told, but you were told through investigation is that he entered the west side of the building.
Yes, sir.
And this is where the questioning is going to get a little interesting, okay? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, Sergeant. Give me 1 second. Let me represent to you that before about 20 some odd seconds before Mendoza shows up, around 11:31:55, 28 seconds, Adrian Gonzales drives into the campus, okay?
Yes, sir.
And I believe that the government will stipulate to that, roughly around that time.
Stipulate that he actually was parking around that time.
Yes, sir.
11:31.
And when I mean campus, I mean parking in the campus building.
Parking.
Yes. So at around 11:31:55, and there's no way to get it pinpointed,
Right.
but in that general time, 11:31:55, Adrian is driven into the campus, and you saw his vehicle later on. You saw where his
Later on,
vehicle
yes,
was
sir.
parked, and he's parked in the campus, right?
Yes, sir.
And I'm not being disrespectful because you drove up to this. He didn't stay away like at a corner where Mendoza and Saucedo initially were, right?
He was
Correct.
parked in the campus.
He was
yes.
inside the
Yes,
campus.
sir.
And later on, we're going to see on your video that there is a Randy Hill, an officer Randy Hill, correct?
Yes, sir.
Where we're going to see him parked on the other side at a certain time. Remember that on your body cam?
Yes, sir.
And we'll talk about that in a second. Now, Officer Randy Hill was the original officer dispatched to this. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
So Randy Hill is the one that was dispatched to this scene, correct?
Yes, sir.
But everybody else responded on their
That's
own.
correct.
Okay. And so we have Adrian there, and at some point, at 11:32:09, the shots fired was Adrian calling out to everyone, shots fired. Do you remember that?
I remember hearing that, yes.
Right. You don't know the time.
I don't.
We'll stipulate that it was Adrian, but I believe his testimony was that it was.
Well, if he knows.
Salcedo.
I know he did say
But we'll,
that.
yeah, we'll stipulate that it was Adrian.
So, and it's okay, you're not a voice expert where you, especially over the dispatch, it's hard to hear sometimes, right?
Yes, sir.
But the shots fired that you said was Mendoza, it was actually Adrian, okay?
Okay.
And the government stipulated that.
Yes.
And so it would make sense that if you guys are hunkering down and taking cover as far away as you guys were, that somebody much closer to the school would be taking cover for a period of time as well, right?
Possibly, yes.
Well, I mean, it can't be reasonable for you guys to take cover, but Adrian not take cover, right?
Depending on where he was at, I don't know.
Well, you know where he was at now. You know where his car was, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if he was around his car, kind of like you guys are around your cars, would that make sense?
Yes.
Maybe Adrian, closer to the shooting than you guys were, that he would be something doing what you guys are doing.
Yes.
And you later know now because school PD, well, you know this, school PDs, they don't have AR-15s.
That's correct.
And so Adrian didn't have an AR-15.
No.
And so at some point, you were trying to figure out where this shooting was coming from, right?
Yes, sir.
Salcedo and Mendoza said they didn't know,
Right.
but you know for sure that Mendoza asked to shoot.
No, sir.
Not Mendoza, Salcedo, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Salcedo. And you know now that there's no evidence that Mendoza and Salcedo were taking fire at that location. Do you know that now?
If you're telling me if.
Yeah, there's no evidence. There's no defects. There's no evidence.
That's correct, yes.
That area.
That I'm aware of, that's why, yes, I testified earlier that I didn't hear anything.
And so I believe you testified that these people from the funeral home are, did you want to say something? I don't want to cut
No.
you off. Okay. These people from the funeral home are yelling at you and you're taking a bunch of information in.
Yes,
But
sir.
one of the things you believe they were saying was he's running towards the school, right?
Yes, sir.
And that would be consistent to Mr. Limones' 911 call 3 minutes before this, saying, hurry, hurry, he's running towards the school, right? That would
Yes,
be
sir.
consistent. And so this is the part that I'm gonna ask you tactically and what you were perceiving. It's not against your character, okay?
No.
And you testified you're trying to figure out all this stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
You can put that, you can put that down. I didn't know you guys could do that, thank you. And so we can't see, and this is after effect, so some of the pictures the government showed you, there was extra cars there because sheriffs had shown up already, right? Well, and I'll bring that to your attention in a second. But you guys are about right here, roughly, right?
Yes, sir.
You're at this corner of the
Uh-huh.
funeral home, so you're about right here.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And for the record, I'm pointing to a screen outside of the viewable portion. And Adrian's over here, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so for Salcedo to ask to shoot and say, I think I see him, it makes sense because this is considered line of sight, right?
Yes, sir.
So all of you, I'm not saying you saw him, but all of you had potential line of sight.
Potentially, yes, sir.
Yes. But we have verification that Salcedo saw him and had true line of sight, right?
I don't know if you saw him or not.
No, I understand that, but we have evidence of that. We have some evidence because he's asking to shoot somebody.
Yes, sir. It wouldn't. Yes, sir.
And it wouldn't make sense for him to shoot someone that either there wasn't a threat to him, that he didn't see had a weapon, or he didn't know was shooting a weapon, right? That would not be, you're not trained to do that.
Correct.
Okay, so if he's asking to shoot, he's asking to use deadly force.
Yes, sir.
And it would make sense because you guys are hearing gunfire.
Correct.
And they think they're being shot upon.
Yes, sir.
And you don't know this because it wasn't dispatched to you, but minutes earlier, Mr. Limones was telling the dispatch, send someone, hurry, he's shooting at the school and running towards the school, right?
Right.
And so, but Salcedo, and I'm gonna say Salcedo just for speed, he didn't take the shot, right?
He did not shoot. No.
So Salcedo had the opportunity, correct?
I don't.
To shoot this person. Well, if he saw him and he had an AR-15, that's at least an opportunity. Whether he's good or not with his weapon, that's a different discussion.
The only reason why I say what I say is because later on, Officer Salcella advised me that he potentially had a teacher in the line of sight.
Ah,
I
I'm
don't
glad
know.
you told me that. No, a ranger told him that, since you brought that up. A ranger told him that was Coach Abraham, but it
That would be
wasn't.
way outside the range.
Well, I mean, he brought it up and I let him do it.
I don't know.
I'll overrule objection.
Thank you, Judge. Someone tried to tell him, don't worry, you didn't do anything wrong. That was a coach, but that wasn't a coach. We know that now. All of us know that now. That was that animal that went into the school. So, and I'm not mad at you, by the way.
Sure.
So Saucedo had the opportunity to shoot and he didn't, correct? He didn't shoot.
He didn't shoot.
Let's just say it that way.
Okay.
And he had an AR-15, and an AR-15 from that distance is a better weapon system than a Glock.
Yes.
Okay. So he had the ability to potentially reach, right?
Yes, sir.
You talk about sighting in at 50 yards. Depending if you're hunting or if you're doing tactical training, some people sight in at an inch eye at 100 for a deer rifle, dead on at 100 or 50, but you can sight your rifle in at different distances, right?
You can, yes, sir.
And if you have iron sights, that means you're just putting iron sights, that means the sights that come on the weapon, and that's more difficult training than a red dot.
Correct.
Right? And a red dot is put on weapons at AR-15s, they have red
Correct.
dots.
They have.
And police issued AR-15s have red dots.
They can have red dots.
That one, Saucedo's did.
Don't believe so, no, sir.
And so you're saying, well, I want to make sure, because we're going to verify this, but
Sure.
you're saying the Uvalde PD issued AR-15 with iron sights and no red dots?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll double check that, okay?
Mhm.
So, but all I'm saying is an AR-15 has the ability to reach.
It can, yes.
Okay. And so ability and opportunity. Now, even though Mendoza was hiding, he had potential line of sight, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Mendoza did not do anything to distract or deter or to stop this person from going into the school?
No,
No, and neither did Saucedo.
no,
And you came a little bit later, but, and I'm not being mean to you, you didn't either,
no.
because you didn't see him.
Correct.
Okay. But you're hearing from behind you, he's running towards the school.
Yes.
And then towards the school, but in your mind, and it's important what was in your mind,
Yes.
Sarge, in your mind, you're thinking this is probably another bailout.
The potential to be, yes, sir.
Well, because you made a decision that even though you three knew that this person, whoever, we didn't know at the time who it was, entered the school, that you were going to travel around to hopefully catch him as this person went through the school.
No.
Did I misunderstand
No,
you?
sir.
Okay.
No, you did.
Okay.
Because that's not, I never saw anyone that was a suspect. I never saw anyone with a gun. I never saw him enter the school. I never saw any of that. My whole intent was to drive around to intercept the individual that was shooting at
Stop.
us.
So how would you intercept the individual over here? How did you know he was going to be over here?
I don't know. I'm saying.
What made you think that though?
Because there's no other buildings west of us. We were on the complete west side of the property.
Yes, sir.
There's only one way direction to run, either south or west.
Okay.
I'm sorry, east.
Okay. And so what path did you think this person was taking for you to intercept them?
Well, tactically, like I said, if he's running towards the school, that's
Mhm.
any direction this way, whether it be south or east.
Okay.
So my intent was, if he's running towards the school, or past the school, or running towards the school, I'm gonna swing around and flank him that way.
Oh, but how would you flank him if you don't know where he's going and what path? It's like if you're in hot pursuit, you're pursuing someone that you've seen, you identified that they need to be detained, and you know where they're going. So if I see someone run through those doors, I'm not gonna run through this door because that goes to the jury room. I'm gonna run through that door, or if I know, because I do know now because I've been here for 2 weeks, that if I go through that exit door, I can intercept the people that went through that back door. Does that make sense? Because I saw them go through that door.
What I'm saying is, we had the individuals at the funeral home
Yeah.
were saying he was running towards the school.
Yes, sir.
From that, my position and where they were also behind me, there's only one direction to go, either east or south.
Okay.
He wasn't running towards us, he wasn't,
So how would you get to this? If you're gonna go intercept them, you were gonna intercept them here? Because you didn't drive over here, you drove over here?
correct.
Okay, so
Well,
again.
because,
Okay.
because again, the street comes this way. I positioned myself to have every opportunity. If he was running straight, I could intercept him there, or if he continued running south, east, I could intercept him there. I was giving myself an opportunity to intercept them either way from the very corner of the property all the way that way south.
But if you're gonna intercept him going here, how would he travel this way? Because you're on this road, so you know he's not on this road, right?
Correct.
And this is the north side of the school, so you know he's not running around the school in the north, right?
Well, I knew he was, I don't know where he was at. I knew that he was in the general vicinity of this area, because I could hear rounds going off, but I wasn't sure exactly where. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, it makes sense what you're telling me, but I'm not sure.
You're asking me if how would I intercept him if he was in, well, that's, I mean, what you're saying is that's exactly why I ended up this way, coming around this way, because we were running through the breezeways trying to intercept him.
Okay, but if someone says, I'm running towards the school, you came around as if they were running through the school, and you kind of
Correct.
said that a little bit,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So had you contemplated that this person, whoever they were, wherever they were, was going through the school?
No.
Okay. But you knew he's not here, so the only other thing is, it could be either here or through the school. Those are the only other options, right?
Yes, sir. And the
So,
reason,
okay.
the reason I'm telling you is because, like I said, I'm already positioned here, and the only thing to do is to intercept him. I'm trying to intercept him as he's going through the school.
I'm gonna ask you a question. So you have this covered, you have line of sight, and you've seen this, and you see nothing here.
Correct.
If someone's running to the school, they're either gonna run into the school or this way. So I'm asking, and try to remember what you were thinking. Why wouldn't you drive this way and make another assessment and try to see this person?
Well, because again, when they were saying he's running to the school or through the school, I was anticipating to intercept him that way.
So if someone runs through the school, that means they have to
I
go
was still gonna run through, I was gonna work my way through, which I did, pass through the school.
But because there's a difference, through or towards the school. If someone's
Yeah, there
running
is.
through the school, they
There
would
is,
have.
and that's why I'm saying I couldn't hear from that distance. I'm getting gunfire, and then I'm also having people yell at me. I have officers down, and I'm trying to get as much information as I possibly could.
Got it. But still, you didn't make the decision to do this and
No.
drive to the, right? But that could have been a decision somebody
Could have
could have
been,
made.
yes.
Where you would drive closer, move up, go towards the shooting, because this jury and the government's made a big deal about training and officers.
Mhm.
And the training is that you always run where? Towards the shooting.
Yes.
Towards the shooting, and the
Yes.
shooting was over here. And again, I'm not saying you should be
No.
prosecuted, by the way, I'm not saying any of that, I'm just saying, but you and the other two officers did not go towards the shooting.
Well, we did do it towards the shooting. My whole intent was to, again, I'm not just driving because I want to drive or I'm hearing. I'm also being told that he's running through the school or to the school. So the only option is either he's running east or he's running south. So my best advantage point would be here so that I can intercept him one way or another. That was my intent.
Okay, I understand. Well, was it ever, but he's either gonna, to intercept him over there, and I'll move on, because it seems like we're not gonna see, on this one, we're not gonna see eye to eye. He either has to go through the school or go this way, right? That's
Correct.
the only other way, because he's not gonna jump the school, and he's not here because you have line of sight here, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so the three officers here did not go towards the shooting, right? Did not go towards the shooting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and there was definitely shooting on this side, correct? And I'm not saying you saw him, because you said you
No, I
didn't,
didn't.
and I have no reason to not believe you. But then Saucedo did, it appears, we have evidence, we have some evidence coming from him that he saw this individual, because he asked to shoot
He
him.
asked permission to
Right.
fire.
And so you drive off, and we now know that he went in here.
Yes.
We now know that.
Yes.
And then these Mendoza and Saucedo stay back. They stay back with the AR-15 and the other two officers together. They stay back.
Okay.
And you drive around, correct? And we saw your body
Yes.
cam. Okay, I just want to make sure. And we can see, can you switch the picture, Jason, please? Where we see Adrian's car?
I'm sorry.
The next one, with Adrian's car? Okay. And so now we've moved up closer, and we can see where Adrian's at. Now, you didn't know Adrian was over here, right?
No.
Okay. But you can see, they're not contesting this. 100% Adrian has zero line of sight, correct?
Mhm.
Is that true? Is that yes? He has no line of sight from here. Nobody.
From there, no.
Right. And so you guys are here, and even though you're on the side of the shooting, you did not see the shooter?
No.
And I believe you, by the way. And you couldn't tell where the shooting was coming from for sure.
Correct.
And you're on the side of the shooting.
Correct.
Adrian's not on the side of the shooting, right?
Right.
doesn't it seem unreasonable for someone to expect Adrian to know where this shooting's coming from, but you guys not to know where it's coming from? Doesn't that seem unreasonable? Not you, someone else.
Me?
Bill, yes. And Christina, be fair.
Yeah,
Okay, that would be unreasonable to you, right?
yes.
Okay, because to put on this person here, Adrian, by sound, with no line of sight and no opportunity nor ability to know exactly where this shooting's coming from and to run to the shooting, but 3 officers, again, with potential line of sight,
Right.
one of them having them, on the side of the shooting. They did not run to the shooting. But ignore them and focus on that. That doesn't seem reasonable, does it?
No.
I agree with you. And in fairness to you, Sarge, at that time, I want to make sure that I get the right terminology, because you said something that's in my notes here. You were talking about the bailouts and how you had just a tremendous, we were getting hammered with bailouts, is what you said.
Yes, sir.
Right? And so everybody, and this is just a reality, everybody was computing bailouts. I mean, even some of the people that were testifying, I mean, it's like, well, it's another lockdown, it's probably a bailout. Everyone was thinking bailouts, right?
The possibility was there, yes, it would have been.
And if somebody was gonna shoot, it was to get away from officers because they were doing a bailout, not because they're gonna commit a mass shooting at a school.
Yes, sir.
And again, in fairness to you, and that's why you were trying to intercept, because you're thinking it's someone bailing out. It didn't even cross your mind, whether people can disagree whether that's reasonable or not, but it didn't even cross your mind that this person was gonna go into the school and shoot it up.
No.
Now, you understand other officers would disagree with you, right?
Sure.
But you're just saying what you were thinking at the time.
Well, not so much only what I was thinking, but the information that I had received at the time as well.
But from an objective standpoint, you had information of a person shooting, running towards a school, and so other officers may have acted differently, right? In fairness.
How do you mean?
Well, meaning maybe other officers would have followed this training and then run directly to the side of the building where the shooting was, and then make sure they get line of sight on this person before they leave that area. Clear it, make sure that this area is safe, so when you're pursuing somebody, you know you've covered this area, and then it's not slicing the pie, but you're covering an area to make sure you're tracking down this person.
Like I said, the reason why I drove around the front of the school was because I wanted to intercept him. My information that I received was he was running to or through the school, so my whole intent was to intercept him at the time. That's what I was doing.
And again, in totality of the circumstances,
Yes.
that's a term of art that law enforcement uses. What does that mean, totality of the circumstances?
In hindsight, after everything has been investigated, the
You have to
totality of
look at
everything.
everything.
Everything that,
Because if we piecemeal something, if we try to fit a circle in a square, or if we only look at something like this, if the prosecution or if law enforcement gets tunnel vision, but not in combat, tunnel vision in prosecuting, well, that's not fair, right? That's not good.
right,
And so we want to consider everything, the totality of the circumstances. And in totality of the circumstances, these school doors should have been locked.
yes,
So could that be something in your mind? Not trying to give you an out, I'm just trying to be fair. That in your mind, well, he's not going to get into school because it's supposed to be locked. So let me try to be creative and try to track this person down, right? Would that that wasn't in your mind?
sure. No, I mean, again, my intent was to
Catch him.
catch him.
And you made a decision to go the north side versus the south side? Of the,
Yes,
And you had 2 frantic witnesses yelling at you, right?
yes,
I mean, you had 2 frantic with weapons, and one of them asking to shoot somebody, telling you information, correct?
yes,
And you still made different decisions. Because you had somebody say, I want to shoot somebody on the west side of the building, but you still drove north.
right, yes, sir,
Okay, so you took all that in when you made your assessment.
yes.
Okay, we're gonna play your body cam again. Can we get back up to not body cam, I'm sorry, dashboard. And I want to direct your attention to something as he's getting it ready. so when you leave Saucedo and Mendoza, they stay at the corner, correct? So we'll stop here 1 second.
I believe one of them or both of them follow me, because after looking at the dash cam, I think I see them on the front of the school. So
Well, if a Texas Ranger is going to come testify that they stayed there for a period of time and not follow you, then we'll just defer to that.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just defer to that for now. And I'm happy to be corrected, but I don't think I'm wrong. So you leave, and we're going to see that with the AR-15, so they're going to stay here, but you're going to be driving north, and you're going to come down Geraldine, and I want to direct your attention when you make a turn to the front. There's already a police officer. So while all this is going on, there's a police officer out of his vehicle just standing there on the corner.
Okay.
Did you remember that when you saw it
Yes,
the first
I
time?
saw patrolling.
Do you remember who that is?
I don't.
Would it be Randy Hill maybe?
Could be, yes.
Probably. Okay, let's look at it then we'll talk, because I want to make sure that your
Sure.
memory is refreshed. So all this is going on. You're yelling at someone over here, right? You're looking, you're scanning, observing. He's moving up to get behind the frame of his car, right?
Okay.
He moved up in a triangle, and you're driving off.
Yes, sir.
See, this guy's already here. He's out of his vehicle.
Mhm.
And we don't know how long he's been there.
No.
But it's safe to say that he's been there for a little while because he's parked and there's two officers there, it looked like. Can you go back, please? And pause it. I see four legs,
Yes, sir.
okay? And they're on the passenger side, so they've been here for some time. For some time, some period of time. I'm not saying an hour, but sometime.
Maybe
Right.
a couple seconds, yeah.
Well, okay. Well, but I'm going to argue more, but I'm just saying they're here parked there. And if there's a call that comes in, shooter running towards the school with a gun towards the school, can you think of any tactical or training reason why they would park on the corner and just stand there?
I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what they heard.
I know that wasn't my question.
Okay.
But my question was, can you think of any tactical or logical, reasonable reason why, after that call, even though it wasn't even the full call that Mr. Limones put out, what he tried to report, why these officers would be at that corner, and it seems like they've been there for a while, and just stand there?
No.
It doesn't make sense, right? But they're not sitting in that chair, are they? These
No.
guys?
No.
Okay. But they're there for some period of time, and they're not running to the school, right? And I guess the government can call them if they do or don't, but we can ask them what they heard and why didn't they run to the gunfire,
Yes.
correct? But they didn't do it. We can see that.
Right.
Okay, please play it. But you are. Look at you. You're going quickly. Now, do you run out the back or do you come out the front?
I
couldn't
come
tell.
out the front. I
Okay.
jump out, and that's when I hear a vehicle coming at a high rate of speed. I could hear it down the, and then Chief out on the pulls up.
Who's that?
Chief.
Okay. Where are you at this time?
I was trying to figure that out myself.
Yeah. Can we pause, please? And so you're parked, but then for some period of time, you're assessing again, or you're
Yes.
staying and you're looking. Maybe you see if you saw him.
Right.
I don't know, but so you have two officers standing at the corner, and I'm not being disrespectful, but we see that you're parked there and you're staying there for a while, and then Arredondo gets out and he seems like he's adjusting. And play again, please. Is that you? Or no?
Well, I see that's me over there.
Here?
No, in the front.
Okay. Can we pause, please? Now there's a number of officers here, right? And not all of them run with you and the chief.
I believe that's Officer Salcedo.
No, I understand that, but none of these people make it into the building with you and the
Not-
chief.
Not that I'm aware of. No.
So they obviously won't run into the gunfire either.
I don't know what information they have.
But if they were with you, then they would have been, I mean, and ahead of you was Paige and Adrian.
Yes.
Ahead of you.
Yes.
But these people weren't behind you, so they didn't follow you to the fourth grade building.
They didn't follow me, Chief. Is that what you're-
Yes, sir, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. And so my point is, they weren't running to the gunfire, obviously. They were doing something else. The gunfire was at the 4th grade building?
Yes.
And
Well, the west building that was on the west side of the
that's the 4th grade building. The west side, south side, east side, north side. So, but these officers, they're not with you, Chief, and they're definitely not with Adrian and Sergeant Page, right?
Yes.
Now, other officers come in from the other side, but there's a number of officers. Can you keep playing, please? Is someone walking around kind of pacing back and forth over there? He's not running into the gunfire, right? This gentleman?
Right.
Okay. Thank you. And so you know that, and then at some point, matter of fact, at 11:32:59, let's do 11:32. I'm just going to put entrance, okay? Because I'm not going to mention his ass. This is when this is the entrance, right?
Okay.
At 11:32:59, I'm gonna put Adrian breaks, and when you know what that means, right? When you break
Yes.
on the radio, he's trying to transmit something. So almost simultaneously as this shooter is entering the building, Adrian has done some assessing like you guys are doing in the corner.
Correct.
But he's doing what the training says to do, communicated. And he says, and he can't see, right? He doesn't know when this guy enters the building. We saw that from
Right.
line of sight. He says, gonna be on the west school, on the west side of the school by those vehicles, supposed to be wearing all black, all black. So when you hear someone say supposed to be, that kind of gives you the impression that they don't know. Someone is telling them something. Well, supposedly, Jason is going to did this, right? Because that's what he told me he did. And that's consistent with how Adrian was relaying messages, right?
Yes, sir.
You know now that he was with a special ed assistant aide, right? Melody Flores? Do you know that now?
Yeah, he mentioned something about being with the teacher, right?
Right. So yes, in the investigation.
Yes.
And so he's dealing with the teacher, a frantic individual, kind of like Mendoza and Saucedo were frantically, everybody's frantic. This is,
Yes.
I'm not ragging on that, that's reality. And so he's dealing with her, trying to get information. 50 seconds earlier, when he heard shots fired, didn't give a description of where they were coming from, right? We heard the dispatch.
Right.
Because you can assume he didn't know because he can't tell where they're coming from, right? Fair enough?
Fair enough.
And then he gets in touch with Melanie at this scene, and he's taking cover like you guys were. And he's getting information from her. And she's saying things, and you didn't hear her testimony, whether she said south building, west building, running this, and he's trying to take it all in.
Yes.
And then as soon as he gets a picture of what he thinks is going on, he relays it to everybody, right?
Yes.
But unfortunately, it's not his fault, but unfortunately, it's almost at the same time as this person is getting into the building, right?
Sure.
He can't see him, but he's relaying the information. Supposed to be wearing black. Supposedly wearing black, right? You heard that.
Yes.
And we don't know, you don't know for sure, what Mendoza and Saucedo were thinking and why they didn't. Can you put this back up? The first one?
This one, or the
The
other
one before, please. You don't know why. We're hearing your thought process.
Yes.
But we just don't know why Mendoza and Saucedo, especially someone who saw the shooter, didn't go to the shooting. But not just go to the shooting. You don't have to guess. He saw the shooter. You don't know why he didn't go to the shooter, right?
I don't know, no, sir.
But that was an option for these two. That was an option for Saucedo and Mendoza. We already talked about your option, but it was an option for them too. right?
Yes.
I mean, they could have driven up. They could have driven up all the way up here, set up a perimeter, something, and then breached, come in here and follow this shooter. They wouldn't have known where he's going, but neither would Adrian, right? They hadn't even seen him.
Right, he
Fair
hadn't
enough.
seen him, is that what you're saying?
Okay, but they did. One of them did. Saucedo did, for sure. And they didn't do that. They didn't come to this building, right? They didn't come to this door.
No, not that I know.
And you don't know exactly why they made those decisions.
No.
But in talking about school safety, you know, it's policy. It's policy that these school doors have to be locked.
Yes, I mean, that's usually what happens is all the schools are the exterior doors, interior doors are locked.
And as we said earlier, time is always of the essence in these situations, right?
Yes, sir.
And so if somebody is coming to a door and they have bad intentions, and there's officers, you would have known that there's officers line of sight on this person. And if that door was locked, it would have been one of these situations which would have given you time to see him, right?
Sure.
Saucedo more time to reassess his decisions, and Mendoza to pick his head up and at least do something. Somebody could have distracted, deterred, delayed, or stopped that guy from
Yes,
doing
sir,
it.
could have, yes, sir.
One of these three, including yourself, one of these three that had line of sight could have stopped. If that door was locked, it would have given you precious time to make a better assessment and for Saucedo to act.
For sure, yes, sir.
Now, can we see Adrian's car? Yes. Would you agree with this, Sarge? That's fine. That's fine, Jason. We'll do both. That in the initial call, someone's running towards the school with a gun and shots have been fired. Adrian goes into the eye of the storm. Would you agree that this is a lot more dangerous than being over here?
Sure, yes, sir.
So Mendoza Saucedo set up perimeter out there for whatever reason. You just respond to what you saw. But Adrian didn't set up out here, right? He drove into the eye of the storm. He's driving into a shooter running towards the school. Where does he drive towards?
He drove into the school.
Into the school, right? And so he's here. So he's placed himself in danger, correct?
Yes.
And he's making his assessments, and we've talked about that already. But then at some point, you know, and we can look at the videos,
Sure.
because we can see on the funeral video, that at around 11:33, Jason? 11:33:07? What is it, Michelle? 11:30? 33:08?
Are you talking about Page?
Page.
Yeah, 11:35:07.
Okay. He's driving up, right? Because your body cam turns on at 11:35:10.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be important. But at 11:35:08, Page is driving up, right?
Right.
And then at some point, Adrian leaves his cover of his vehicle, and because Page parks, we've seen the videos, and we'll show them again, pictures. He makes movement to Page, and there's contact with Page. And we're going to hear from Page, I'm sure, today. So he makes contact with Page, right? Because the government just asked you about those pictures and who's standing there. It's Sergeant Page and it's Adrian. Remember?
Yes, I did see the two officers there. Yes.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm just kind of setting the
Yeah.
tone. So at some point, Page drives in, literally almost at the same time. Around you put your body cam on,
Okay.
and you told the reason why. But it would have been very, very helpful if you had your body cam on earlier, right?
Yes.
Because then we could have heard exactly what the funeral people were saying to you guys, right? Potentially.
Potentially.
Right? We would have heard Saucedo, and maybe he said more than just, I see him, I really want to. He could have said other things. We don't know. You just remember him saying, I think I see him, I want to shoot. Permission to shoot,
Yes.
right? We could have heard maybe potential what Mendoza was saying, right, and what he was thinking.
Potentially.
And then heard shots.
Yes.
And also, you know that Officer Jesus Mendoza had a body cam also.
Yes.
Okay. And so we're hopefully going to see those. But do you know now that Mendoza's body cam wasn't turned on the corner also? Do you know
No,
that
I
now?
don't.
You don't know that. Okay, we'll let that come about. So, but at some point we see you running up,
Yes.
and Adrian has made he's left his cover of his car, and he's come to meet because he sees Paige, right? That's backup, and he comes and sees Paige, and they meet up here. And do you remember? If you remember, as you're running, they're already walking towards the school. Do you remember them moving towards the school when you looked at the video?
Yes, I believe they were.
They were moving
They
towards the
beat
school.
me towards the south entrance of the school.
They darted in when they heard those shots.
Yes.
And you know that by the time those shots, and we heard the audio, but the body cam's on us right here, so it sounds loud to us. But out there, you were a good distance from Paige and from Adrian,
Yes,
right?
I was.
And do you know now that in their interviews, they didn't even mention hearing you or seeing you until
Yeah,
later?
that makes
sense, right?
Yeah.
So they were reacting and responding on their own. They heard those shots, and we look at your body cam, and 1 minute your arm's in the way because you're doing what you're doing appropriate stuff, and then it comes up and they're already in that school, right?
Right.
So Adrian puts himself in danger by driving in the eye of the storm, tactically comes out and meets Sergeant Page, and then when they hear the shots, the same shots that you heard, before you know it, they sprint into the school, right?
Yes.
And they're ahead of you, and to your
Yes.
credit, you and the chief follow.
Yes.
And we see Adrian with his gun out, and he's in the hallway, correct?
Yes.
And we see Sergeant Page at times over here.
Yes.
And we saw the smoke. When you walk into this hallway, and there's smoke because after a lot of rounds in AR-15, the gunpowder makes smoke, right?
Yes.
And you would agree that this hallway, and it came up a lot yesterday, but it's important, is a fatal funnel.
Yes, it could be.
right?
Yes, sir.
Because it's a narrowed, exposed situation
Correct.
that puts the person in high vulnerability.
Correct.
Right? High vulnerability meaning there's no cover. There's not even concealment except for those little niches. Every once in a while, there's a little cover.
Yes.
But him and Paige and you are exposed. They're
Yes.
in the fatal funnel. And then even after we saw in your body cam, even after Hernandez, who got shot in the head?
Lieutenant Martinez.
I'm sorry. I knew it. Lieutenant Martinez got skinned. Even though he got skinned, you saw Adrian didn't move. He didn't run out the back.
No.
He stayed in the fatal funnel.
Yes.
Because that person could have done this and could have done this. I mean, it's that easy. It's like bop, 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 and people are dead. But Adrian didn't move. Right?
Right.
He remained in danger by being in that school.
Yes.
Is that fair? And so did you, right?
Yes.
And so did Sergeant Page.
Yes.
And Martinez has already been injured.
Yes.
And tactically, and I think we'll ask Sergeant Page, but him yelling to the other side, even though I know his heart wanted to check on Martinez, tactically that was not a good decision.
No.
Right, because now you're notifying the shooter that you have people on this side. So there could have been a scenario where this guy thought, I'm outpowering these people, and he would come out with his weapon, and then that would have given you, Adrian, and Paige an opportunity to shoot.
Could have, yes.
Right, but so Paige, and I'm not bragging on him for it, him yelling out was not tactically sound for that circumstance.
I don't know. I mean, given your position is
Yeah.
tough to do, but I understand why he did it.
I do too. I mean, he cares about Martinez, but I mean, I'm just saying you don't want a shooter to know where you're at.
No, you don't.
Element of surprise is a big deal.
Yes.
And so he does that, and Adrian stays in that hallway.
Yes.
And the only time that Adrian leaves that hallway is when the chief tells him, you can hear Adrian saying, "Are you breaking? Can anyone break from in here?" Right?
Yes.
Can anyone's radio work? Is what it translates to. And no, so the chief, and you heard the chief say, call SWAT.
Yes.
And so the only time Adrian leaves danger is when the chief tells him to go outside and call for backup,
Yes, sir.
or call for heavier power, because now we have a barricaded individual. Right?
Yes, sir.
And you heard at some point, people didn't even know if kids were in these classrooms, right?
I can tell you, I didn't know.
You didn't know. But you can hear Adrian is calling also. People are trying to call the front office.
Yes.
Are there classes in, right?
You can see on my body cam, yes, I'm doing that. Yes.
And the reason why is two things. Number one, because that school does not have a designated officer. Police
Not
officer.
to my knowledge, no.
Adrian was assigned to the high school.
Yes, he was.
That's why Adrian is even asking, where is the fourth grade building? He asked somebody else, right? That makes sense to you.
Makes sense, yes.
And so everyone is trying to figure out, not everyone, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but Adrian and yourself and maybe one other person are asking, are there kids in these classrooms?
Yes.
Another factor is because there was a special day, it was the end of the school year,
Yes.
and there was award ceremonies going on.
Yes, sir.
We had heard of award ceremonies going on in the high school,
Yes, I believe the high school was doing a picnic or something.
at Mexican Park.
Yes.
That's the slang, that's what you guys call it, Mexican Park. And then over here, there was award ceremonies going on in the middle school as well.
Yes, sir.
Elementary school, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir, elementary school.
And so that's another reason why people were asking, are these classrooms even full?
Yes, sir.
But it made the situation even more dangerous because at some point, Adrian, Sergeant Page, and yourself, Sarge, you see sheetrock. You know that there's bullets going through.
Yes, sir.
So those hallways, at best, were just concealment.
Yes, sir.
I mean, and that's why giving your position is not tactically sound. But there wasn't going to be any protection if that shooter wanted to just shoot through the wall.
Yes, sir.
You, Adrian, and Sergeant Page, and Martinez and Mireles on the other side could have potentially been killed.
Gonzales.
Canales, but Mireles eventually came in, but Canales, yes, could
Yes,
have
sir.
been killed, right?
Yes, sir.
But Adrian stayed in the hall.
Yes.
And we noticed that all the other people that we saw on your dash cam, the ones behind you, they didn't end up in the hallway, right? They didn't come in from the south behind you.
No, at that moment, no.
I mean, and there was a number of officers there that we saw on your dashboard.
Yes.
Right? And so you knew who was on the other side, Martinez and Canales, but those officers, we don't know where they were.
Well, to be fair, I didn't know exactly who was quite a distance on the other side. I didn't know who was there and who was not. I know that Adrian was on my side and Pete was also on my side and Paige.
Yes, sir. But all I'm saying is, when we saw the dash cam, those officers, they didn't make it into the building.
Not behind me, no.
Yes, sir. Do you remember when the government asked you that calling SWAT is opposite of confronting a shooter? Do you remember that question?
No,
You don't remember that question?
I don't.
Well, then I'll remind you of the
Sure.
question. The government, Bill asked you, Mr. Turner asked you, calling SWAT, that's opposite of confronting the shooter. He asked you that.
Okay.
And you seemed befuddled by it. You seemed confused by it. That's a confusing statement question. Would you agree?
I was confused by. I know what you're saying now. Yes, and yes, I was
I mean-
confused. Maybe that's probably why I don't remember.
Yeah, well, it's forgettable. And so all I'm saying is the fact that if someone's calling SWAT, you're not cowering or running away. You're following orders because you've gone as far as you can go in a circumstance. You've put yourself in a fatal funnel. You've put yourself in danger. You've
Yes.
drawn your weapon. Everybody is halted because now someone is barricaded. Officers have taken rounds, and your chief says, "Go call SWAT." That's not someone running away from danger, is it?
No.
Did you ever see Randy Hill make that call? Because he was
Which
the one
call?
assigned to this call initially, right? The one in the corner?
Oh, yes, sir.
I mean, the one standing outside his car when you drove by?
If that was him.
That's Randy Hill.
Okay.
One of them is Randy Hill. Did you know if he ever made the call? Did he ever get to the building? Did he ever?
I do not know that. I don't know.
I'm just going through my notes. Now you said something in the video, or someone did. Maybe it's not you, so please correct me. So we have him contained,
Yes.
and he was contained, right?
Yes.
Because technically, if you initial officers, you 5 at the beginning,
Correct.
didn't go into that hallway, he technically could have not only focused on 112 and shot those other children that made it, he would have been focused on doing that. He could have been distracted by you in the hallway, right?
Yes.
He was so distracted that he came out to shoot at some of you.
Yes.
So you, yourself, Paige, Adrian, Martinez, Canales, the chief, you guys had distracted him from continuing his carnage, right? Continuing doing what he was doing.
I know he shot at us. Yes, sir. And stopped. And he stopped shooting. I guess.
And is it fair? There's no way for him to know when or if you guys were going to breach.
No, he
Right?
did not know.
So that could have been on his mind, right? Could have
Sure.
been. And so that's a distraction. Now, but if you weren't in the hallway and if he had intent, because the evidence has shown he had a lot of rounds on him, a lot of magazines with bullets in them. He could have walked from that classroom to the next classroom, 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 and without you being in the hallway, you and Adrian being one of the first ones in the hallway, and Paige and Canales and Martinez, he he could have gone through that whole school and shot up the whole school. Could have.
Could have, yes, sir.
Nothing would have stopped him but for 5 officers containing him in that room.
Yes, sir.
And then eventually 376 showed up, right?
Eventually, yes, sir.
Now there was a period of time in the video where the government asked you about Adrian holstering his weapon. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Where was Adrian when he holstered the weapon?
He was on the south.
God bless you. Where was he at?
He was on the southeast corner of the building.
Southeast corner. Inside or outside?
Outside.
Outside. Was there any gunfire going on over there?
No.
Do you always have to worry about crossfire, friendly fire?
Yes, sir.
So if you don't have a threat in front of you, is it prudent and reasonable and per training that you holster your weapon if there's not a threat in front of you?
Yes, sir.
I mean, and if you train, I mean, how long does it, doesn't take long to have a jacket on, but I mean, you can just, you can draw a weapon quickly, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, so holstering a weapon when there's no threat is reasonable, right?
Right.
Your weapon was holstered out there.
Yes, it was.
Now, you said a lot of things out there. You were saying, well, I want to talk about friendly fire before we talk about what you were dispatching and what equipment you were asking for.
Yes, sir.
And you guys just had to do it. You kind of threw your own safety, the wings, everybody runs in. You were in a tactical, not just in a fatal funnel, but if Martinez is on the other side of the Canales and Adrian's on this side, Paige, you're here, you and the chief. What is this potential when you have blue on blue?
Yes, that was a concern.
And what is that called? Crossfire?
Crossfire, yes, sir.
Or blue on blue? And so, but in that situation, you did what you had to do, right? All of you did what you had to do. But that was a potential concern as well.
Yes, it was a potential concern.
But back to you being outside. So you and Adrian go outside. Adrian is commanded or asked or told by the chief to go outside. He listens. Reasonable request. You go outside also because you can't break either.
Correct.
And you're a sergeant. And so you're out there and you're asking for flashbangs.
Yes,
if
sir.
we have them.
Yes.
What are flashbangs?
Distraction devices, sir.
And now you typically would you use those if there was a room full of children?
It's hard to say. I mean, what I was doing, I knew that we were gonna have to confront the individual, and I prefer to have a distraction device,
Right.
given that we just took rounds.
Right. Now you didn't know that there was a room full of children, by the way. So
No.
you want options, right? Is that
Correct,
a fair statement?
yes.
So you're asking for options, and the way flashbangs are used is it goes and it creates this explosion.
Correct.
So a bad guy could maybe be distracted by that, and then you guys could come in,
Correct.
right, and do something.
Yes.
And there's all different kinds of ways to distract.
Yes.
But that would be one of them.
One of them, yes, sir.
Do you think that, speaking of distract, do you think that Saucedo and Mendoza could have distracted the shooter before he went into the building on the west side?
Could have, yes.
They could have, right?
Yes.
Now, you also asked for a Halligan tool. They've heard a lot about a Halligan tool, so I'm going to just jump in. That's a tool to help pry open a door, especially for an outward swinging door, correct?
Yes, sir.
Much more difficult to deal with that
A
scenario.
lot more difficult, yes.
And so you asked for that, correct?
Yes.
And after you asked for that, and this is where we can hear Adrian trying to verify, are there children in the classrooms on the video?
Yes.
So you're still figuring things out.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Judge, I didn't realize the time. Do you want me to pause right here? I can kind of cut it. It's lunchtime.
Keep going.
Okay. I don't want them mad at me if they can be mad at you.
We gotta finish this one, so we're not. So let's go.
Okay, Judge, well, I'm doing my best. So you guys are trying to figure this out still.
Yes.
Okay. And then as you're figuring it out, at some point, because I know that they asked you about this,
Mm-hmm.
Adrian's posting up on the southeast corner, and he's looking, and that was a reasonable thing to do, right?
I thought so, yes.
I mean, because there's people coming up this way,
Yes.
Meaning officers, and there's some defects on the window, maybe some rounds that have come out.
Correct.
And so two things can happen. Someone can be shot from that window.
Yes,
It's kind of a sniper situation.
correct.
Or the person, the individual suspect could be trying to escape.
Could,
And
yes,
if they're trying to escape, then that's when you guys would confront them, right?
yes,
And so someone that's truly containing. So once again, he's following his training, taking on the role of containment on the backside because he
Yes.
knew the hallway was covered.
correct.
And during that time, the government asked you about kind of this. It sounded like and it looked like Adrian was just figuring it out like you are. And he says, "I saw a teacher on the ground," right?
Yes,
Now, you didn't hear his interview, but he explains that he didn't know at the time it was a teacher. Once he made contact with her, he knew that was a teacher at that time, right?
to be honest with you, sir, I don't know what he was saying. I know he was trying to,
Okay.
I think he was just thinking out loud, trying to explain what was going on and rationalize
Right.
what was going on.
He's just figuring out, he
Okay.
says, "I saw a teacher on the ground. I thought she had tackled somebody. I saw her running," right? So
Correct.
and you didn't hear his interview, but he saw someone running, and the call was someone's running towards the school with a gun. And so he gets the call, because you heard the dispatch, someone running towards the school with the gun. And where did Adrian drive?
Into the school.
Into the school, towards the
Just
school.
ask him after it's repetitive there, Your Honor.
All right,
Same.
so you saw that. So Adrian is recollecting that in his mind. So when you talk about considering, because the government asked you about considering the backdrop,
Mhm.
Anytime you have shooting around a school, you're never going to have a perfect backdrop,
No,
right? I mean, if in a courtroom, there's never going to be a perfect backdrop. I mean, these officers, you're always going to have that situation,
Correct, yes.
especially at a school. I mean,
yes,
that doesn't mean you don't act at all and do something.
no.
right? Um, And from your knowledge, you know, and from what you experienced, you saw Adrian act, correct?
I'm sorry?
You saw Adrian act as you approached at 11:35:10.
Yes,
He ran into the school.
yes,
He stayed in the school, correct?
Yes.
In the hallway.
yes.
And he remained in danger until given further instruction.
From what now
the
we
chief.
played from the video that we saw, the dash cam, or body cam, yes.
Thank you, sir. Pass the witness, Judge.